The next question regards the history of fasting, actually. Was the time period for the observing of a fast and abstaining from the things which break the fast, which you've already mentioned, always the same since the beginning of time or for the Muslims?
As far as the Muslims are concerned, when the first time it was mentioned in the Quran, in Surah Baqarah chapter 2 verse 183, which I mentioned earlier, that fasting was fard, at that time the Muslims used to fast 3 days in a month. Later on, when the verse of the Quran was revealed of Surah Baqarah chapter number 2 verse number 185, which I quoted the second time, that Ramadan is the month in which the Quran was revealed, and in it is guidance for the humankind, and in it are signs for guidance and judgment, right and wrong. So the Muslims, when they witness this month, they should fast. So then it became fard for the Muslim to fast the complete month of Ramadan. First it was only 3 days every month, then it became one full month, only the month of Ramadan. As far as the things that break the fast are concerned, one of the things that break the fast, it is sexual intercourse, even with your wife. So previously, when this verse of Surah Baqarah chapter 2 verse number 185 was revealed, it was not mentioned in detail. So the Muslims at that time, they used to abstain from sexual intercourse, approaching their wives for the full month of Ramadan, even during the day and night. And it was very difficult for many of the Muslims, many of the Sahabas. And that reminds me of a quotation or incident which is mentioned in one of the commentaries of the Quran. If you read the commentary of the Quran by Qurtubi, volume number 2, page number 210, it mentions there that Umar ibn Khattab, may Allah be pleased with him, once after speaking with the Prophet late in the night, he comes back home. And he has the urge to sleep with his wife. And he spends the time with his wife, and he has sexual intercourse with his wife. In the morning when he gets up, he feels very bad. He's ashamed. He immediately goes to the Prophet, and he says that I ask pardon from Allah and His Messenger for what I've done. And my soul was attracted towards my wife, and I had a relationship with my wife in the night. Is there any way that I can be pardoned, or is there any way that I can escape? So the Prophet said, is it true that you actually did this? He said, yes, Prophet. The Prophet was shocked. How could Hazrat Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, could do a thing at that time it was prohibited? He said, yes, Allah's Messenger, I did it. Is there any way I can be pardoned? So the Prophet said, no one besides Allah can give the command. And alhamdulillah, summa alhamdulillah, immediately after this, the verse of Surah Baqarah, chapter number 2, verse number 187 was revealed. It says that permitted to you during the nights of the fast is approaching your wives. And then it says, Hunna libasul lakum wa antum libasul lahunna, that they are your garments and you are their garments. That means your wives are your garments and you are the garments of your wife. And Allah says that we know what you do secretly in the night, but Allah forgave you. And from now onwards, you can approach your wives during the nights of the fast. And you can eat and drink till the white thread of dawn is differentiated from the black thread.
apologize.
Mr. Speaker, next week there will be hundreds of thousands of Canadians who will be celebrating Ramadan. In my own riding, there will be many thousands, and of course across the world, hundreds of millions. And I want to take this opportunity to wish all of those who are celebrating Ramadan, Ramadan Mubarak. Last year, I had the opportunity to fast for the entire period of Ramadan. It's something I'm going to do again in support of a charity called Give 30. And that is to take the money that you save from fasting every day to give to those that are more needy, and particularly food banks. When I fasted, it was an incredible experience to feel what it was like to be hungry. And of course, I got relief at the end of the day. But for many children, unfortunately in Canada, around the world, that relief never comes. They have to make it through a day and try to learn and try to prepare for their future without the aid of food. This charity gives an opportunity to reflect upon that and use the power of Ramadan to help others. Thank you.
In honor of the Islamic holy month of Ramadan, let's all take a few minutes to understand the role and impact of fasting in Islam. The Arabic word for fasting is saum. It's derived from a Syriac term meaning to abstain. However, in its religious context, saum refers specifically to Islamic fasting as prescribed in the Quran and the Hadith. Saum is especially associated with Ramadan, the 9th month of the Islamic lunar calendar. Muslims who are not exempt for some reason are required to abstain from food, beverages, and sexual intercourse from dawn to sunset for the entire month. Fasting during Ramadan is one of the 5 pillars of Islam. If all of this sounds innocent, it's not. Ramadan is killing Muslims, not only spiritually, but also physically. CNN reports, though the month-long season is associated with deprivation, overeating is common practice once the sun goes down. In many hospitals in the Gulf states of the Middle East, the holiday means a sharp rise in inpatients. Among the causes of this rise in inpatients are heat stress due to dehydration, an increase in traffic accidents, and noncompliance with medications due to disturbed eating and sleeping habits. Crime rates also increase in many areas during Ramadan. Ammon News declares, in addition to fights, negative phenomena increase during the month of Ramadan, including traffic accidents, home robberies, purse snatching in public, and begging, according to security sources. The Social Defense Department at the Ministry of Social Development arrested 26 beggars during the first week of Ramadan. There has also been an increase in residential fires, particularly in the few hours before iftar, fast-breaking time, caused by misuse of cooking gas cylinders and increased electricity usage. But the main source of Ramadan-related health problems is gluttony. The CNN report continues. In recent years, the region has witnessed an increasing struggle with obesity and diabetes. Last month, a United Nations study rated many Gulf Cooperation Council countries as among the world's fattest. Why the increase in obesity? Paradoxically, Muslims tend to eat far more when they're fasting than when they're not fasting. You see, Ramadan isn't simply not eating. It's gorging yourself before sunrise, taking a break while the sun's out, and gorging yourself again at sundown, a diet recommended by no doctor ever. Let's look at some numbers from a Muslim country. According to the National Consumer Institute of Tunisia, Muslim consumption of basic food products doubles during Ramadan. Milk consumption goes from less than a liter per person in other months to around 2 liters per person during Ramadan. Yogurt consumption more than doubles, skyrocketing from 5.4 pots per person to 12.9 pots per person. Egg consumption goes from just under 13 per person to 26 per person. Consumption of rolls goes from 0.6 kilograms per person to 1.4 kilograms per person. Spending and waste also increased dramatically during Ramadan. We read in Arab News, the problem of food wastage in Ramadan has again surfaced, with Mecca municipality having to gather 5,000 tons in the first 3 days of Ramadan. According to one report, Saudis spend 20 billion rials on Ramadan shopping compared to 6 billion rials they spend in other months. Osama al-Zaytouni of the municipality told Arab News on Thursday that this was in addition to the collection of 28,000 sheep carcasses in 2 days. He said the municipality had installed 45 waste compressors in central Mecca, close to the Grand Mosque, and deployed 8,000 cleaners for the month. At the beginning of Ramadan, the Ministry of Commerce and Industry expressed concern that 45% of the waste in Ramadan consists of food. It also revealed that 80% of the food prepared is unhealthy. So why do Muslims eat more and spend more and waste more when they're fasting than when they're not fasting? Why put a mask of piety on gluttony and excess? The answer, I think, lies at the very heart of Islam. Islam doesn't teach people to control their desires. Islam encourages people, the men at least, to carry their desires to a
one body, life.